everybody. How you doing out there? He's messing up already.
I know.
Messed up the Dang it, Goku.
That is Gogeta, sir.
Gogeta.
SS for Gogeta.
We know it was Goku's fault. So, and speaking of stuff coming up this year, we have quite a few movies coming up. Not a ridiculous amount like last year, but we have. Happy birthday, Ron. We have 14 movies. 14. So only 2 less than last year. So it's still a lot. But we have 14 movies coming out in 2020. One of them has already come out this weekend, actually.
Birds of Prey.
Birds of Prey, yeah. As we're recording this anyway, it's already out.
And I've already heard horrible things about it.
Have you heard anything about it, Hakeem?
No, I have not.
Okay. I have heard glowing reviews off from Rotten Tomatoes, but you know how Rotten Tomatoes is. I've heard a lot of glowing reviews from them, and I have heard some... The worst I've heard has kind of been like, it's all right. It's not anything to write home about necessarily, but it's like, I didn't get the impression that anyone that saw it like wasted their money to see it. But that's just like going off of just general reactions, what I've seen off of social media, whatever. I haven't watched any like reviews or anything like that. So, but that's been the general case. It's just like there's some people out there that are saying it's the best DC movie that's ever made, but you know that's. I was like, I'm pretty sure we just got that last year. It's kind of neck and neck with. I would say Joker's kind of neck and neck with Dark Knight, but you know, it's that might be that'll be an interesting one to kind of juggle. Like, okay, which one's actually better? But it might be Joker, and it might be Dark Knight. I don't know, but it's like I don't know if Birds of Prey is that good, but you know, like I said, I haven't heard anything terrible about it. It's just been kind of like, it's either been or it's like, you know, the most amazing thing ever. So don't know if I'll see it the next weekend of Valentine's Day. I don't know if I'll see it then, because I do want to see 1917 before that leaves theaters. So it may be the last week, maybe the weekend that you're in Richmond. I might actually be seeing it then. So. But we'll see. Birds of Prey, like I said, Birds of Prey is already out, but we have several more. See if I can. Where's the window? There it is. Okay, so we have Birds of Prey, Sonic the Hedgehog, which is actually next week, actually. Yeah. Bloodshot, New Mutants, Black Widow, Wonder Woman 84, Ghostbusters 3, which is Ghostbusters Afterlife, actually. Monster Hunter, The King's Man, Venom 2, which is probably Venom, and Carnage, Snake Eyes, Eternals, Godzilla vs. King Kong, and Dune. So out of all of the movies, I'm gonna start. I have an idea what yours is, Jojo. So I'm gonna hold off for that just a second, and I'm gonna go to Mr. Hakeem. Hakeem, what movies would you be excited for coming out this year?
I am excited for Wonder Woman 84.
Okay. Why exactly Wonder Woman 84?
To be honest, everything else doesn't really pique my interest. Although I am going to see Sonic the Hedgehog next weekend.
Okay.
Just because of it being February 14th. Mm-hmm. So.
I got you.
Yeah.
That's an interesting movie for it to come out on Valentine's weekend.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna do the typical, Valentine's Day thing. So it's either that or it's nothing. So
it's like, look, you're gonna take this, you're gonna take what you can get, damn it.
It's all right. I told my wife, I was like, hey, I'm working Valentine's Day weekend. Let's do it Monday.
I can see that.
But Wonder Woman 84.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And I think I don't know if I've given mine yet, But Wonder Woman 84 does actually it's in my top 3 definitely for movies that I'd want to go see, just because like it's like Hakeem said, it's like it looks the most interesting out of all of the trailers that I've seen, you know, and it looks the most it definitely looks the most tonally consistent, and save for probably Ghostbusters 3, but I'll talk about Ghostbusters 3 in a little bit. But yeah, Wonder Woman 84. Okay, we're gonna go. We're gonna go to Mr. Mojojojo. What's the movie that you're most excited to see in 2020? I already know what it is, but go ahead.
Honestly, it's New Mutants.
Really?
Yes.
Really? Okay.
Yes. And
that's not what I expected you to say.
I know everybody was like, "Oh, Godzilla versus King Kong," but honestly, I've been waiting for the New Mutants.
Okay.
Just on the basis of, and actually that's another one too, but I don't think that's Morbius is not this year.
Morbius is not this year?
I don't think so.
I thought it was.
Or is it at the end of the year?
I think it is the day after my birthday.
Oh, okay. Well, I was gonna say because Morbius is definitely number 2.
Okay.
That I wanted to see, but the New Mutants, because of the fact that from what I've heard and the fact that they've kind of busted it back so many times that they've wanted to go like a horror feel with it.
Yes.
And that's what I'm kind of excited to see, because when I first watched this trailer, like I was watching it like late at night, like by myself, curled up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like it played one light real quick. Like that was my reaction to it, and I was just like, that's gonna be pretty cool.
Yes. Yes.
Because we actually get to see the dark side of like, mutants being like put in an institution and having to like find ways to kind of control their powers, and you get to see the raw side of like a mutant's power, because we're used to seeing X-Men movies where like you might have like Jubilee or somebody that's like they can't exactly control it, but nothing really bad happens,
right?
And in this trailer it's just like people have actually died because they have used their powers. And that's what I'm really, really excited to see.
And that's a good point. That is a very good point, because the closest thing I would say that, and I hate to bring this movie up because I know it ticks off a lot of people, but the closest thing and the one thing I gave it the most props for was Fant Four Stick. That was the one time that they actually had showed the powers, and it was even though it was brief, that was another problem, but it was like, even though it was brief, they showed how painful and everything, like these, like you saw the Human Torch just screaming because he's on fire. It's like you saw Mr. Fantastic, he's all stretched out and everything, and he can't move, he can't retract or anything, he can't pull it back in or whatever. And you got the Thing who's just horrified because he's trapped in rock.
Yeah.
Freaking every time I think of that scene, I don't think you follow the Black Nerd or whatever. He did a review of Fant Four Stick, and he was like, you can't let Dave Chappelle around the Thing, because he'd be like, you know what, man, I smoke rocks, and every time I think of if I see the Thing, I'm just like, damn, I smoke rocks, and I'm like, God, jeez. So every time I think of that, I laugh, but it's like at the same time, I'm like, no, that's really, like, if you woke up, you're encased in stone, you can't move. All you can do is move a hand or whatever. And I'm like, that's horrifying.
Yeah.
That is freaking horrifying. And I'm like, that was the one thing that I gave a thumbs up to Fant Four Stick for doing. It was too brief, far too brief. Because the next time you see them, it's just like, oh, they got controller powers, 100%, they're fine. So it's like, why'd you even bother showing that if you're, but it is what it is. But now we get to see something like where, like, that's the whole point of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that'll be interesting to see, and that's coming out soon, isn't it? I think I saw that. New Mutants is 1st of April.
1st of April.
And I hope that's not an April Fool's joke, because that would be the ultimate troll. What'd you say?
I said, may not be good if it's coming out April 1st. They're like, we fooled you. You thought we were making this movie.
That would be like the ultimate troll. It's just like, we've been waiting for this movie for like 4 years, and then it's just like, it comes to the, everybody goes to the theater, pays their money, whatever. Everybody goes to the theater, and just
and then they put on like X-Men Last Stand.
I think you will actually get those riots that everyone wanted during the Joker, but you're going to get them if they do that.
Yes.
That's what's going to happen. People are going to riot. Hell of an April Fool's joke, but that's probably not going to turn out very well. So that's interesting. Like I said, that's not at all what I expected you to say. I was honestly expecting you to go 100% for Godzilla versus King Kong.
Now, don't get me wrong.
True rumble in the jungle.
Now, I am super excited for this movie, but I'm a horror junkie, and I've been waiting on the New Mutants forever. And when they were like, of course, when Fox and Disney were having their kind of little dispute thing, and they were like, well, it's going to have to be on the back burner. I was like, okay. Yeah. And then they were like, well, now that, everything's in motion, we're going to give a horror feel to it. And I was just like, okay, now I'm more interested. And then when you got that trailer and you actually got that, like, spooky institution, like, feel to it, and then, like, the whole group meeting, like, I was like, yes.
So yeah. And there, I will say this. The only reason I'm not as excited for it, because after I saw Godzilla 2, I'm like, part of me was like, man, this should have been Godzilla 2, because like I know what they're going to do in this movie, because if you've seen the end of Godzilla King of the Monsters, you see that King Ghidorah's head is still there. They're going to try to, I don't know, probably going to try to revive him or something like that. So it's going to wind up being like a Batman v Superman type scenario, where it's just like, oh, they're going to fight each other.
Mecha Ghidorah.
They're going to fight each other, and then it's going to be like, oh, this bigger threat that they're going to have to team up, whatever, and
and you see the little Easter egg of Mothra's second egg.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I'm excited.
My whole thing is, it's like, man, just go there and just have the fight. Just have like Michael Buffer just call him out in the corners or whatever. It's like, in the red corner, the man who says that there is no God, the king himself, King Kong. And over here, the one that says King Kong ain't got shit on me. I am a god, Godzilla. Let's get ready to rumble. And then they just fight. And I'm just like, I would watch that.
And then next thing you know, it just becomes all out smackdown. Mecha Ghidorah comes out of nowhere. And
it's like throwing a building on it. Yeah. I'm just like, I'd watch that. I was like,
and then have like King Kong come from the rubble and be like, you motherfucker.
You inherited Samuel L. Jackson's traits from Skull Island. I will say, because honestly, like, except like the first Godzilla movie, like, I understand, like, okay, they cut away from the action too much or whatever, but I'm like, okay, I was at least interested for most of the movie. When it came down to like Skull Island, I was just like, just give me the fight. Just give me the fight. The fight at the end, I freaking loved it.
Oh, yeah.
Loved it. Like Godzilla versus like Godzilla 2 is like the monster fights. I'm like, I enjoyed the monster fights. I think Skull Island had the better monster fight, if I'm being perfect.
Yeah, of course. But I also liked how Skull Island brought in the fact that there are more monsters on Earth than just, Godzilla, King Kong, Mothra, Rodan. It's like there's monsters everywhere in the Earth. And the Earth, and it gives the feel that the Earth's a lot bigger than what people think it is.
Yeah. And Hakeem, did you see Skull Island at all?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so like, did you enjoy the final fight, the one we're talking about?
Oh yeah.
Because that was probably like, I didn't think anyone could top like Godzilla doing his atomic breath down the throat of a mutant. I was like, I didn't think they could top that, but I'm like, King Kong literally ripped someone's someone's freaking intestines out from the inside. Like he ripped the dude's spine out. I'm just like
he was Sub-Zero for sure.
I was like, yep, I'm with it. I'm with it. You know.
And I liked how he was like, it was like when I can't remember if it was the army guy or whatever or the girl was watching like King Kong when he was just like strolling, and the giant squid just like grabs him, but that was like the whole point.
Yeah.
Because he was hungry.
Yeah.
And they're like fighting, and he's just like.
Yep.
And he's just like dragging it along, like, yeah, I just want a little bit of calamari today.
wanted to have his delicacy, whatever. But
yes.
That's my thing. Is like I will pay full price to go see just them fight. I don't care about any. They obviously don't care about any of the human stuff because they like all the human stuff is retarded. I'm sorry for using that word, but it is. It's just stupid. So it's like just give us the fights. Just give us the fight. We'll go in. We'll watch the fight. It's all good, and then we'll just go from there.
Yeah, that's what kind of bothered me in number 2, with the mother, where she was just like, you know, she was like, oh yeah, like we got to get these sounds and control them, and like we got to make sure, you know, they're good for the earth, and you know, trying to find a defense system. And then all of a sudden she was like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm like an eco-terrorist, and sorry, I meant to tell you, but you know, shit happens.
It was just funny, like her son was murdered by these things, you know, rampaging and fighting, so her reaction is like, all right, I'm gonna bring more of them out.
Yeah, and I'm like,
let's do more of this. I'm like, what?
Like, it's just like you just let your son die in vain.
Yes.
For what?
Exactly.
Like, and it's like, I get it. Like, you can control the sound most of the time, because it's like if you get off the frequency, like someone's gonna die.
Yeah, but even if you're on it, and this is one of the things like I said in my review that I actually like that you could mimic the alpha of a particular species. Yeah. But that attracts the bigger, the predator of that species is going to be like, you know, like Hakeem said, who in my house? So, you know, the attacks, you know, they start coming, and I'm just like, all right. Like, it's kind of like the, what is it, in Jurassic Park 3, when somehow the kid collects Tyrannosaurus piss. Whatever. Somehow he does that. And he's like, yeah, I spray this, whatever. It gets rid of like all of like the raptors and stuff, but it attracts a really big, you know, dinosaur or whatever. I was like, okay, yeah, I get that. It would, you know, like, okay, you're going to attract the predator of that predator. So I'm like, okay. I actually did like that because like that's, you know, very similar to how the animal world works. So I'm like, yeah, just give us the fight. I just want to see the fight. I don't need the whole like, you know, the human, you know, aspect of it. Just get rid of them. You need one person, Michael Buffer, put him up in there.
Excuse me.
And then have them airlifted out, and then just let them just go to town.
Yeah, just have him in the helicopter like the whole time, like you know, narrating the whole fight.
Have like Evander Holyfield or something. Oh boy. So what else we got? What else we got coming out? Let's look at. So Black Widow. And I said this like when we were talking about it when they announced Phase 4. I was kind of like, Black Widow just seems a little too late, especially now that you killed her off.
Yeah, and like you're either retconning her, or you're just like giving us a story
that's
up to that point.
Yeah, that's all it is. It's like supposed to take place right after Civil War. So
yeah, if you wanted that should have been like before Infinity War.
Thank you. Thank you.
Because like, and another thing that doesn't appease me is like, Taskmaster is the main bad guy. It's like, for one, his colors are off. I mean, I get that you want to try to do something different for the movies, but like, try to make him look a little similar so I can like relate. Because like somebody with like a mechanical mask like that, like I'm just like, dude, you're throwing it off for me. Like,
yeah, and I understand that because you know that was the whole thing. Like you know, like you could say like with Scarlet Witch whatever. No, like I know in the Disney Plus series, she's actually in her comic outfit,
yeah,
or whatever. But there was still something like, okay, you dress her in a certain way to like, okay,
at least she was like in a red coat, red skirt, whatever. Like her powers, like every time she did her powers, like it was red. Like okay, like we've seen this before. Like she does it in the comics. Like I can relate. Like Taskmaster, it's just like he's in like a blue coat with like a mechanical mask. Like at first, like I looked at the Legos because I'm a very avid Lego collector, and looked at the Black Widow set and it said Taskmaster, and I was like, it's blue. I was like, okay. And then of course I zoom in on the picture and I'm like, this isn't Taskmaster.
Yeah, and that is a thing. Like I said, you understand. Like okay, there's certain things that don't translate very well to the screen. It'll look silly or whatever. Like Hawkeye's costume for whatever.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, yes, I understand that will look silly, but you said the colors, you can still do something to make them look and resemble that.
Yeah, and
to
like
a degree,
and like when they did it in the Spider-Man game, Taskmaster, they still gave him his orange, but he wasn't like like a weird color. It was just like like an assassin jacket, and the mask. Yes, it was metal, but it was like a mask that where like if you tried to poison him, it was like a gas mask, but it still had like a resemblance of like a skull face, and I was just like, do it like that. It was perfect. It was awesome.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, it's their choice, obviously.
Yeah,
but
like I said, I don't get paid to. I just sit here and complain. That's all I do.
Well, I mean, like, and it's the whole thing, like with and I'm not going to go too deep on the whole race swapping with Black Canary. I mean, that's one thing in and of itself. But like character, like if you look at the posters of Black Canary for Birds of Prey, looks nothing like anything from like. Don't even give her the same colors from the comics or anything like that. Nothing like her. And I'm just like, why did you even call her Black Canary then? You can use an amalgamation of other characters that you could have used or whatever, but I'm just like, you look nothing like, you don't even look like her.
Call her Siren or something.
Call her something else. I mean, make something up, So you know the character. You've seen the posters for Black Canary, right? For Hakeem, have you seen those? Yeah. So I'm like, why? Like I said, the race swap is one thing. I'm not going to get into that. I've beat that horse to death already, enough times. But it's like, all right, you did the race swap, and it's like now you didn't even bother to try to make her look anything like how she looks in the comic. Not even the same color. And I was like, all she does is wear black. And I'm like, that should be the simplest thing to do. Yeah. I was like, can't even do that. And I'm like, you know what, whatever. And maybe, I haven't seen the movie yet, so maybe like at some point she gets into like a similar kind of costume or whatever. Like maybe they made something similar to the CW series or something. Maybe they did something like that. Maybe, she has a blonde wig or something at the end or something like that. But I'm like, oh, okay, fine. But I'm like, I'm just looking at the promo material. I'm like, this ain't Black Canary. This looks nothing like her. I'm like, if you're trying to, you are understanding that you're trying to appease. You're trying to also cater to the fandom of these, of these characters. Maybe you should try to stay true to them a little bit, just a little bit. Like I said, I understand certain ones like Black Widow. We're just talking about her. Gosh dang it. Scarlet Witch.
Yeah, Scarlet Witch. Yeah.
I understand Scarlet Witch. I understand Hawkeye. I even understand Falcon. But still, like, there was something there that they were at least able to keep the essence of what
at least they gave him, like, a type of wings.
His wings, they kept the red and the white and stuff. So I'm like, okay, I get it. I was like, okay, obviously, like, you're not going to have him wear red and white spandex out there, and I'm like, I get that.
And it's like, even in the joke, I think it was like the first X-Men, like, talking about the suits, and he's like, what, would you rather have us have yellow spandex?
Yeah.
Just hitting at the, like, 90s, X-Men, like, basically is saying within the movie itself, like, yeah, like we'd look silly in yellow spandex.
Yeah, like if you gave the X-Men their actual true to form and costumes on screen, they would look very silly. So like, but however, they have given us close enough to where it's like, you know, like that was one of the things I actually did like to see at the end of X-Men Apocalypse, I think it was, and they all had like something that resembled their 90s costume.
Yes.
It wasn't exact, but it was like, it was close enough.
Yeah, I will say, like, when they did the yellow and blue in First Class,
yeah,
I
awesome.
Enjoyed that, yeah,
that
because that took it all the way back to like issue number like 1 through like 10.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they had with the original blue and yellow. So, but yeah, just like the essence is still there, you know, of what they would look like. So like, I appreciate when they do that. And a lot of comic fans appreciate when they do that. But when you just like, you go out your way to make them, you have to go out your way to do that. That's the thing. Like, you have to go out your way to make them look nothing like the character. So it's like, why did you even bother? You know? So pick a different character that looks closer to the one you want. So like, but it is what it is. It is what it is. Like I said, I think I'm not saying that Black Widow is going to be bad. It's just like, this is a little bit too little, too late, or whatever. And Ghostbusters 3. This has been an interesting one. This has been an interesting one, especially in social media, because a lot of people are either real excited about this movie or they're really mad.
It's like one of those things that's just like they're mixed between the whole about time to, okay, you're a little too late, like, you know, like, you know, and I think, you know, I get it, things happen, like people get sick and they don't recover from it, but, you know, missing the whole what's his face, the actor that passed away.
Oh, Harold Ramis?
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, having his character not in it, you know, like I said, you know, I understand things happen, you know, people pass away, you know, nothing you can really do about that. But, you know, there was a time where, you know, if they really wanted this movie, you know, they could have done it when, you know, he was still well, and then.
Yeah. But that's actually, I see that point. That's actually not what people are so upset about. If they,
that's what I'm upset about. I don't know. I'm just kind of. Yeah, that's. And there was a few people that talked to at work that kind of said the same thing. What I was talking about.
Yeah, and I see that. Like, it definitely should have been done. Is he laying down now?
Yeah, he defused.
Okay, well, scoot over that way then. So, no, a lot of people are excited about this one. I think Williams included is actually excited about Ghostbusters 3, Ghostbusters Afterlife. And a lot of people are just, you know, they're happy to see a continuation of the original story. And I understand that, but, you know, like, I always have that pretense of like a sequel that comes out way later, and I'm like, I don't know. It looks a little too Stranger Things. I know the kid from Stranger Things is in it. It looks a little bit too Stranger Things-y and a little bit too serious, but it might not be. You know, say the trailer might not be selling it correctly, which is trailers do from time to time.
It just might be one of those things that, you know, of course you see the Ghostbusters car, and I feel like that's one thing that, like, when people saw the car, they were like, oh my gosh!
Yeah, that little little teaser where like, the rag flipped up and you saw saw Ecto 1. But actually, a lot of people are super, super pissed because of how this movie, the 2016 Ghostbusters reboot, was received. And a lot of people, there's a lot of backlash in that regard because of Ghostbusters 2016 was not received very well.
No, not at all.
That never understood the marketing behind this. Like when I first started getting into like film criticism, and I was like, you know, part of, you know, joining communities and stuff like that, like they would make fun of how this movie marketed itself, you know, like in this vein of almost man bashing and stuff like that. We're just like, what are you doing? Why are you acting like this or whatever? Like, it was to the point where they would actually, like they did some like really shady stuff with this movie. I had no idea, so I started looking into it. But they did some really shady stuff. Like they, the actual misogynistic comments and stuff that were left on the video, they kept those, but deleted all the other, like, the legit criticisms that people had and stuff, because the trailers weren't good. Look, the trailers weren't good. And I said this during, like, our review, like, years ago. I said the trailers were bad. Like, they didn't even show you, like, the funniest stuff in the movie or whatever. So, but when they were monitoring the comments, they left all, like, the obvious, blatant misogynistic comments that you would probably see on any movie that has a woman in it. Let's be real. You would probably see that on any movie trailer that had a woman in it. But they deleted all the other ones that had, like, legitimate criticism and just left those. And I was like, wow. Wow, really? You're fishing for it that much? And then, like, there's the whole, like, oh, they're women, get over it. And I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And then you're wondering why people didn't go see it. They're wondering why people didn't go see it. And I'm like, that's why it bombed, because you're out here, you're man bashing for no reason. And there's no reason for you to do that or whatever. And you know, sorry for Leslie Jones. She experienced some stuff online, I that sucks. I understand. People shouldn't do that. I'm like, I don't ever never condone that, because, like, you know, these are actors. They're just doing a job. They're doing what they're told to do. They come in, they read the lines that are on the paper, and they get paid to do it. That's their job. That's what they got to do. They go out there, they act, they play the character. It's not the actor's fault that the character might suck, you know, but, you know, just, you can't blame the actor for that, you know. So, I've said this numerous times. William said it numerous times or whatever, you know, just don't go after the actors, especially the actors. Don't go after them. It's like they don't have any real control over that kind of stuff.
Yeah, like, so. Honestly, if somebody told me, like, hey, here's $4 million to do a part, like, I'm gonna take it, like, no matter how bad the movie does. Like I'll be like, I'll read anything you want me to read for $4 million.
We're trying to eat, we're trying to pay bills.
Yeah,
we got stuff to do, man.
I'm trying to go on a couple vacays, you know what I'm saying?
You know, so I was just like, hey, like, we get it. So, but yeah, there's been some interesting backlash, and people are upset. They're just like, you shouldn't reward that behavior. But I'm like, they're not rewarding anyone's behavior. They saw what happened with the previous movie, and they're course correcting. That's all they're doing. Hopefully. So hopefully this one will be good or whatever. I'm not too sure about it, but I gotta, and I'll put the tweet on screen. Like the most interesting tweet that I saw about this new Ghostbusters Afterlife movie was like, it's ridiculous. And like I said, I gotta find it, so I gotta put it on screen for you guys to see, because I'm like, I saw it, I'm like, please, I don't pray for very much, but please let this be a troll. But there was this tweet that said, oh, so we just out here making movies about family and legacy and all that white supremacy stuff or whatever. And I'm like, what? So I'm like, what are you talking? So I'm like, so suddenly suddenly just having a family is suddenly just is white supremacy apparently. And I'm just like, I'm imagining this dude. I'm like, what do you do when you out? When you're out there in the mall or whatever, or you're out there in the restaurant and just looking at some family.
Like, that's some white supremacist shit right there. I know they black, but they really white supremacists enjoying that family pack of chicken right there. Just enjoying the whole time together. Oh, look at that real white family. Oh, that's the leader white supremacist right there.
Just being all white and having a family,
eating their chicken and pastry at the Cracker Barrel. See, Cracker. See, white supremacists.
I'm like, please. I was like, I saw this, I was like, please let this be a troll. Please, dear God, let this be a troll. Because I'm like...
And the sad part is, it's like, we live in a time in society, it's just like, you can't never tell the difference now.
Yeah.
Like, some people are legitly getting their feelings over, like, you know, something they have no idea about. Mm-hmm. And they just go with whatever, you know, the times are. Exactly. And whatever's on social media. And it's just like, why? Why? Just... Go read a book. Go learn your history. Like, please.
I mean, like
if you're on a troll, like, you got to start using emojis.
Yeah.
Like, that's the only way you're going to be able to tell the difference. Because, like, when I troll, I use the happy cry face.
Yeah. I mean, well... It's easy for me to tell, even if you don't use that, because, like, you know, when we know each other. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, we know when we're joking and stuff like that. But, like, so I don't know. Like I say, it's hard to tell sometimes and stuff like that. So.
And oh, you for real?
Yeah.
Let me just leave.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's like, I'll let you get to that. I'm just going to be a white supremacist down here at, you know, the Burger King with my family.
But I'm just hoping that this year is better than last year. Because last year, I can't tell you how many times I left the theater just upset. Just flat out upset. I think the most upset I was Hellboy.
I didn't even attempt it. Like, it was like a video somebody had posted, like, right after they saw it, and they were just like, biggest disappointment. They were like, they liked how it kind of tied in with the comics and how, you know, the little bit of darkness it was in, but overall it was just and also too, it was like bad timing because you had Endgame and, you know, right there.
I don't think any timing would have helped. I don't think anything would have helped it.
But yeah, I haven't attempted to watch it, so I can't really say for myself. So other than
it has a couple of funny moments. I will give it that. It has a couple of funny moments, but for the most part, it's like a lot of the humor just kind of falls flat. You're just kind of like you're kind of giving it a sour face. Most of you like squinting at it a whole lot. And it's just like, what are you doing here? Whatever. But it's one of those, like, a remake that should have never been remade. You know, you should have just stuck with the old Guillermo del Toro movies. Stick with those. Those movies were fine.
Yeah, they weren't. I enjoyed them. Like, to this day, like, I'll go back on Netflix and I'll, like, you know, play one, and I'm just like, and I enjoy it.
I tried to sit through that. That was probably the most upset that I left, and I didn't even pay for that movie. That was a free movie that I got from my rewards, and I was like, I didn't even pay for it. I'm just like, I want my rewards back. I want to try again. But yeah, just constantly, it was just like, well, I would say like Glass. I was like, okay. I was like, I left the theater. I was like, okay, maybe this will be a good year. But then, you know, we had Captain Marvel happen, and I was like, oh. I left the movie very upset then. I left the movie upset with Endgame. I left the movies upset with... oh, no, I wasn't upset with Spider-Man Far From Home. And, reconnecting. You still there, Hakeem? You still there?
Yep.
Okay. Cool. It just said it was reconnecting. Yep. I was making sure. So, yeah, it's like I left the theater upset too many times in 2019. I would like to not do that this year. So, which is one of the reasons why I want to start the year off with 1917. I know it's not a comic book / superhero movie, whatever. I mean, I guess it could, depending on how you look at it. But
which I'm kind of clueless because what is that movie about?
1917, World War One.
Oh, yeah.
So I definitely want to. Yeah.
Matter of fact, I heard a couple coworkers say that it wasn't a bad movie.
Yeah, I've heard good things about it, but I'm just like, all right, I at least want to start the movie off with a movie that I know I'm pretty sure is going to be good. So I was like, okay, I'll watch this movie. Then, you know, we got Birds of Prey. If Birds of Prey is at least okay, I'll be happy. Yeah, to be perfectly honest, if it's at least okay, but I would rather not get into this string of bad movie after bad movie after bad movie because a lot of times, like, this isn't even like the director's fault. It's not the actor's fault. It's the writers. It's just like the writers are, for whatever reason, they're just
like I feel like that's what the, like, you know, Hollywood kind of goes through like periods of time of like, it's good writing, good actors, but bad directing.
Yeah.
And then it's just like good directing, good writing, but the actors didn't portray. And then it's just like, now we're just in the bad writing.
Yeah.
So it's like we're in the next phase. So hopefully the next phase would be good writing, good acting, good directing. We have amazing movies that come out, and and the movie theaters will get all my money.
Exactly.
Thanks for watching until the end, fellow Nerd Posse. If you stuck around this long, it means that we own your soul, and the only way to get it back is to click that subscribe button, leave a like or dislike, and comment down below. If you want to watch the full video, check us out on McBlamEntertainment.com, or for the audio version, just simply look us up on your favorite podcasting app. Follow us on social media, the links are in the description down below, and if you feel ever so kind, you can support us on Patreon or Subscribestar for as little as $1 a month and gain access to our Discord server where we talk about all sorts of nerdy stuff. Thanks again for watching, and depending on what time of day you're watching, have a good morning, have a good day, and have a good night, and we will see you in the next video.